Adventure swimmer and inspirational speaker Ryan Stramrood is joining me in studio. Now, he's been invited to represent South Africa on an elite six-person team that's going to attempt to make a world first. He's going to tell us about that next adventure right now. Hello.
Good morning, good morning. Yes, I'm off to Ireland on Wednesday this week to make an attempt to swim from Ireland to Scotland across the notorious North Channel and then back again, so in a continuous relay format.
Now, you're known for your extreme adventure swims. Why did you choose to do this relay?
A bit of a long story. I have aspirations to solo swim from Ireland to Scotland across the North Channel. It's a very big accomplishment. After doing the English Channel, which is an extremely tough swim, this is kind of a level up. So I started gathering information from the Ireland Long Distance Association that governs the swimming in the area. And while I was online with them, they invited me to represent South Africa and form the sixth person of this team they're putting together to make the first attempt for a two-way North Channel crossing.
Okay.
So I accepted.
Well, good. Now, this is a six-person team. Who else is going to be on this team?
There are 5 other countries. A guy from Estonia, a person from Ireland, obviously, from the UK, from America, from the Czech Republic. And Sweden is the 6th as well.
Wow.
So it's a really international team and some very well-known swimmers. The Estonian Henry Karma is one of the top ice swimmers in the country as well, and I do a lot of competing against him in the colder parts of the world. So it's good to be on the same team as him for a change.
How do you prepare for something like this?
For the relay attempt, my preparations aren't really specific to it. I do a lot of training every day, so I'm always in cold water. I keep myself very fit. What I'm doing for the relay specifically is trying to get my head around the mental side of not doing a solo. So it's often perceived as a lot easier, and it is easier than a solo, but we're doing an ultra distance. And the water is very cold, plus there's going to be nighttime swimming as well, which is very tricky. So one of the challenges I'm trying to get my head around is I'll be in the water for 60 minutes in the water that's probably around 12 to 13 degrees Celsius. In 60 minutes, 1 hour, you're going to get extremely cold when there's no sun on your back. It's not, and the water's quite wild. I'll then get out while the other 5 people have a go, and I have to try and generate enough warmth to enable myself to get back in for another hour, and then another hour, and another hour, and so on all the way through. It's probably going to take us about 24 to 28 hours. And it's not as if we're sitting in a sauna and generating heat. We're going to be on an open deck boat in the elements. So how to do that is going to be tricky. It's a very different discipline.
Well, how are you going to do that? I mean, how do you generate enough warmth to keep you warm in such extreme conditions?
I am just going to dress warmly. It's not a lot you can do, and they'll have hot chocolates and coffees and whatever we pre-pack on the boat to try and get a little bit of internal warmth. But the bottom line is we are going to get extremely cold. And that's where the mental discipline comes in. To get back in the water, to perform physically in extreme cold is very, very hard. And as it gets colder and you get tired and more tired and more tired, it's going to be a lot tougher on the head. And it's going to be very easy to just call it quits. But that's where I certainly hope I've got it, and that the team are all mentally strong too.
Talk me through that mental discipline. I imagine you need to be really strong mentally to do all of these extreme adventures you do. How did you develop that?
Over time, to be honest, and also trial and error. Every swim I do, I learn a little bit more about myself, and that's what the beauty is of the inspirational talks I give. I just tell a story, and built into that is just so many life lessons that you can apply wherever you go in business, in family, in social, and in sport. But generally, I just accept that we are governed by a default setting of our mind that is designed to keep us safe, to keep us within our comfort zones, to make sure we don't fail, to protect us from harm, all for good reasons. But you don't learn anything in your comfort zone. It's only when you get out and you engage what I call a self-explore setting of the mind that you can actually start realizing that there's so much more. You might not succeed outside your comfort zone, but I promise you're going to learn. Only when you learn can you take the next step. So to answer your question, I put that into practice. We try tougher and tougher and tougher challenges with the small team of guys that I swim with. And each time we learn a lot, and I often get to the point the cold impacts you, so it makes you negative, it makes you doubt yourself, and it's just a physical thought process that you go through to try and overcome that. and believe that you can, and you always end up surprising yourself. So I'm just going to take a whole bunch of life lessons and experiences in the cold and apply them on this swim.
Do you have any fears going into this next swim?
I do have fears. This is an interesting one for me because I don't have a huge appetite for relay swimming. I like to do things solo. So I am bound by the team's experience and their abilities as well. So we're governed by the Irish Long Distance Swim Association's rules. So if one person of that relay falls out of the swim and can't continue, that's the end of our challenge.
Okay.
We can't finish it with 5 or 4 or less, which was my initial thought that we could, because I'm of the mindset if people fall out, even if I'm down to one swimmer, I'm just going to keep going. That's where I sit. So it's a little bit of a mind shift for me, knowing that part of my mental discipline is probably going to be disciplining, in inverted commas, others and helping them if I see weakness in them. And then to come back to the fear, I hope I'm not the one who is flailing at the real challenge. Because one of the big challenges of this, in fact, there are 2 that I'll highlight besides the cold and the endurance and the distance and the fitness and all the things that are almost obvious. Things that are less obvious are the jellyfish. The North Channel's got a very violent little jelly that lives there, and when it stings you, it often ends your swim. So that's going to be an interesting one. And then seasickness. You're on a small boat for a very long time. It's going to be bobbing around. You've got no escape from that. And seasickness, I've seen it many times, is absolutely debilitating. I'm not hugely susceptible, but when I was in Antarctica before, and I was also trying to do a swim in the Bering Sea, on both occasions the seas got so rough at some stages that I felt really nauseous. And trying to perform physically in cold, it's just a horrible thought. So that's those fears that ping, but at least they're pills for that.
Yeah.